Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Dr. Irfan Latif Khan, uh, and I will teach you renewable and alternate energy system in this semester. Renewable and alternate energy system, along with my colleague Usman Javed, who is teaching, I think, in the section C or B. Now, why should we study this course? First of all, I will teach you introduction to fundamental concepts of renewable and alternate energy sources and discussion of trends, fundamental concepts of renewable and alternate energy. What is the difference between renewable and alternate energy? And then illustration of challenges issues with respect to supply and environment, supply issues with regard to the different energy sources, whether it is conventional or renewable, and their impact on the environment. And next, design of renewable and alternate energy power plant. In this case, we will discuss the primary renewable energy. Primary means, for example, solar and wind. Solar and wind. 6 lectures of solar and 6 lectures of wind. Total 12 lectures will cover this point. Design of renewable and alternate energy power plants. In our case, we discuss only primary renewable energy sources. Primary. The next, discussion of economic of renewable and alternate energy sources. Economic of renewable and alternate sources, we will compare between these two things, which is economical, their environmental effect. Energy consumption trends. For example, this diagram shows the renewable energy consumption. For example, we can see here that the renewable energy consumptions from 1965 to 2016 very little increase during this period, whereas the other sources of energy, you can see that the gas is exponentially increased, and for example, this is coal and oil. The consumption. Now our focus is to increase the consumption of renewable. For example, we want to increase from that to that point. Now the world is focusing towards this. Next, oil supply and demand curve. Here we can see that the supply, this green curve shows the supply, and this is the demand. When there is a gap between supply and demand, for example, then it depends upon supply. The prices also depends upon supply and demand. If supply is, for example, in this case, supply is less and demand is more, then it will affect this. So there is a balance between supply and demand. For example, here we can see that from this point to this point, supply decreases, okay, and therefore the prices affect the prices of the oil. Now the alternate energy sources. What are the alternate or renewable energy sources? For example, in this case, the primary sources are the solar and wind are the primary renewable energy sources, and then becomes hydroelectric, and also then comes the biomass renewable energy sources. Then you can see geothermal. It depends upon the location of the tectonics plates. And then finally the other sources we can see that the nuclear and other alternate sources are the you can say the fuel cell, and another one is the ocean thermal energy, wave energy, ocean tidal wave, etc. Tidal waves, different type of tidal. These are the other alternate sources of the energy. This diagram shows the percentage contribution of renewable energy in USA. For example, the total energy, 10% of renewable energies. From 10%, it is divided into different: solar, geothermal 2%, we can say the wind 18%, biofuels 21%. Out of 10% we can select, and wood 23%, hydroelectric is 26%. So the percentage contribution of renewable in USA. This is the energy mix of USA. And applications. What are the applications? So these are the applications. Mostly these are application of energy, total energy mix. The application of total energy mix goes to 22% residential, then commercial, industrial, and transportation. The textbook and references. For example, in this case, traditionally we are following these textbooks: technology, economics, environment, renewable energy, and reference book is a renewable energy policy by Paul Kumar. But I am planning to introduce following textbook: renewable energy systems, David M. Bochla, Thomas E. Kazel, and Thomas L. Floyd. Now the question is why I want to introduce this book. I think because this book contains numericals as compared to the previous version of numericals, very simple, or we can see that easy. More importantly, this textbook is written in very good format. We can see that a book format, whereas the previous textbook is written in research book format. And next comes the course learning outcome. C2PLO1 list and generally explain the energy principles. What are the energy principles? Okay, energy principles, for example, kinetic energy. What is kinetic energy? Potential energy, units of energy, and rest energy. E is equal to mc square. Energy principles. And main sources of energy. What are the main sources of energy? For example, sun is the main source of energy. And due to sun we can get hydro hydro, and then again wind is also due to the sun, wind energy, and also due to solar. So in this case, main source of energy is sun, and other is the natural sources, for example coal, oil, gas, nuclear etc. These are the main sources of energy. And the primary applications, what are the primary applications? Primary applications, we can see that the domestic application, domestic, residential, transportation, etc etc. These are the applications. Then in ClO2, C3PLO2, cognitive level 3 program, level 2, demonstrate the challenges and issues related to energy sources, including fossil fuel with regard to supply and environment. For example, in this case, what is the issue with oil supply, what is the issue with coal, gas, their reserves are depleting, and when we burn these things, what happens, what affects the environment, etc. And also, for example, in renewables, solar cell and its effect on the environment, also the winds plant and its effect on the environment, we discuss in ClO2. The next is the C5, cognitive level 5, PLO3, design and development solutions involving primary renewables. In this case, we will discuss about the solar, photovoltaic and solar systems, and number 2 is the wind turbine or wind power generation. These are the two primary sources of renewable energy. We design a photovoltaic array system or module for a single house or for a community or for a large area. And finally, the economics and environmental effect of the primary renewable. For example, in this case, what is the cost of the per unit cost of photovoltaic and versus wind and its effect on the environment. So these are the course learning outcomes. A quick review about the cognitive levels. You may know about the cognitive level 1, C1. This is the C1 knowledge based, C1, C2 application, analysis and evaluation. This is C5. Detail is given here. What is C1 knowledge? Focuses on remembering, reciting, then the comprehension, organizing the information. For example, this is the cognitive levels. I will ask a question according to this level. For example, C2, first CLO1, the question will be according to C2, cognitive level 2 and PLO1. So what is PLO? This is the program learning outcomes of the engineering program. For example, here we will focus on the PLO1, PLO2, PLO3 and PLO7. PLO1 engineering knowledge, problem analysis, PLO2 and design, in PLO3 design and development, and PLO7 environment and sustainability. And along with PLO, these are CA ones. For example, first question will be C2 PLO1. PLO1 about engineering knowledge, cognitive level 2. This is the example of the question in sessional 1, question in sessional 1. Next topics to be addressed: introduction to energy, related parameters and its importance, introduction to energy, potential energy, kinetic energy, rest energy, related parameters. What are the related parameters to energy, their units, etc., and its sources of energy, conventional and renewable. In conventional will be coal, nuclear, gas, thermal plants, renewable. Then the alternate energy sources, for example, fuel cells, ocean thermal energy, geothermal, etc. Next is the environmental impact of various energy sources. What are the environmental effect of various energy sources? For example, what is the effect of the photovoltaic cell on environment? In this example, photovoltaic cell, environmental impact of photovoltaic cell. Next, solar energy and solar power plant design. That's wind energy and wind power plant design. Total 12 to 14 lectures. And then comes economic aspects of renewable energy sources. These are the CLO, and inshallah during sessional 1 we will cover CLO1 complete and half of CLO2, and this is the sessional 1 up to sessional 1, and then CLO3 will be covered during sessional 2, and finally after sessional 2 we will cover economic aspects of renewable sources. So this will be the breakdown. The assessment plan: quiz 1 and 1 assignment before sessional 1, second quiz and second assignment between session 1 and sessional 2, and similarly 1 quiz after the and 1 assignment after sessional 2. You will mark distribution. You already know about the mark distribution. Assignment 10%, 15 quizzes 15%, sessional 1 and sessional 2 10 to 15%, and thermal 50%. These are the guidelines. Plagiarism is not tolerated. Okay. All the assessment will be conceptual. Take the notes in the class. You must earn marks in each assessment, so take them seriously. Attendance, etc. So this is about the introduction of the course, and inshallah we will in coming lecture I will discuss about the sources of energy and what are the conventional and non-conventional sources of energy,